So the game ends, Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1, and neither team lose. But I think the real winners from that game are Liverpool Football Club, who are now 5 points clear at the top of the table after 5 games. And Liverpool haven't even got going or aren't even near their best yet. Arsenal in second with 10 points joint with Spurs, Manchester City down in ninth. But let's talk about the game. Let's talk about Arsenal 1, City 1. I've got some slides. I want to go through some notes. I want to talk about Eze. I want to talk about Arteta. I want to talk about Pep Guardiola. I want to talk about everything because we learned a lot from that game in a weird way. Or did we learn a lot? That's the question because, first of all, I've never seen Pep Guardiola that scared. I've never seen Pep Guardiola take off Haaland, go to back fives, defend that deep, look at winning fouls, look at wasting time from about minute 15 onwards. I've never seen Pep approach a game so negatively. And I don't think you can be too negative about Pep's approach because it would have got him the 3 points if at the last minute of the game the Man City line didn't go up so high. If Manchester City had followed those instructions all the way through, it might have won Pep the game. But what I do think is funny is that Pep was getting praised by Sky Sports and the commentators for his approach and, how he almost kept Arsenal out and how Man City were doing so well defensively. When if Arteta had done the exact same thing, they would have been slandering Arteta. Arteta, if he'd have done the exact same thing at the Etihad after going 1-0 up, they would have slandered him for being so defensive. Pep got praised for it. However, I will say this. Pep has never been that defensive. Arteta is normally that defensive in big games, so I can see why Arteta will naturally get more criticism because it's something Arteta does a lot. Because if I'm going to be completely honest with you, Arteta got it so wrong in the first half. Not starting Eze, when you bring in a player that can play number 10, when Martin Odegaard is out injured, and you have a player of Eze's quality, and you do not start him, Arteta was so wrong about Eze in that first half, because that first half from Arsenal was bad. That second half from Arsenal, they gave everything, they tried their hardest, they just could not break City down to the end, and it took a moment of quality from Eze, who should have started, and a fantastic finish from Martinelli to make it 1-1. And I think Arsenal definitely deserved that to make it 1-1. But then when Arsenal make it 1-1, they're celebrating as if they've won it. Arteta's celebrating as if he's won it. And I'm thinking, you're at home. You want to catch Liverpool. You're better than City now. For me, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would want my manager to be going for the 3 points. Because I think in too many big games, Arteta is going for the draw. And Pep played for the draw today. Well, Pep technically played for the win because he parked the bus. But Pep probably came in today wanting a draw. And I'm not saying there's an issue with going and getting a draw. But what I'm saying with Arsenal is they go to Liverpool wanting a draw. They go to City wanting a draw. And I think this approach from Arteta, he should go into games wanting to win. Look, Pep Guardiola did an Arteta today. And, we can give Pep stick for that if we want. He did an Arteta today. He ultimately got a draw. Arsenal got a draw. The points were shared. But I felt the way that Arteta lined up again in a big game was cowardly. You might as well play Eze over Marino. Marino could not get involved. Marino did not have a good game for me. Gyökeres didn't have a good game, but he got no service, to be fair to him. I thought the minute Eze came on, Arsenal was so much better. I thought the second half from Arsenal was better. I thought City were well organised. I think City defended well. I thought Doku was really good for Manchester City. But the real winners are Liverpool because both teams have dropped points. Liverpool are 5 points clear of Arsenal. Liverpool are looking at both teams being too scared to win against each other that they're playing play not to lose football. These teams are playing play not to lose football, whereas Liverpool have that attacking quality to go and get a winner at the end of the game. Because look, it wasn't an exciting game. It wasn't the most interesting game of football. In fact, I was quite bored. I thought it was a good second half display from Arsenal, but I think they wasted the first half. I think I've never seen Pep play that deep, and maybe that's a sign of respect to Arsenal. He's scared of Arsenal because he played that deep. But wow. So as you can see, we're only 5 games into the season, but the gap is 5 points. Now, Arsenal have played both Liverpool and City. Liverpool have played Arsenal, but 5 points for Liverpool. They've got their 3 points against the big sides they faced. That is the big difference. Arsenal lost to Liverpool. They drew to City. For me, if I'm Arsenal, with where Arsenal are at right now, if they want to win the league, you go to your away games looking to draw. You win your home games. If I'm Arsenal, if I'm playing Liverpool or City, if I'm at the Emirates, I want to win that. If I'm going to Anfield and Etihad, I play for a draw. But if I'm at the Emirates, I personally want to win that. But look, it's not the end of the world. They didn't have, obviously, Odegaard. Obviously, Saka came on later. He didn't start Eze for some reason. They didn't have Havertz. But I just think if Arsenal want to go to that next level, which I think they have it in their squad, Arteta needs to take risks. I think, look, Pep's done what Arteta gets stick for today, and that is park the bus. Go 1-0 up, play like a coward, and park the bus, and that's resulted in him maybe getting a draw. But Arsenal at home, we can talk about Pep later on because Pep never normally goes with that approach. I do think Arteta plays it too safe in big games. Pep in the past has never played it that safe, but Arteta plays it too safe in big games. Because look at Eze. And I'm going to talk about Liverpool in a second and why Liverpool the real winners out of this game and all that. But then Eze generated more expected assists than any other player during the Arsenal City game, and he only came on at half time. Eze won 100% of his tackles, 100% passes completed, 100% shot accuracy, 20 passes completed, 1 clearance, 1 assist. Despite coming on at half time, Eze was the most impactful player. He started to get Arsenal ticking. He started to get Arsenal playing a bit better football. I just felt Mourinho had to come off, Eze had to come on, and I think one thing we'll give Arteta credit for is his subs. Arsenal deserved to get a draw out of that game. The subs were right, the approach was right, there was a good attacking subs there, but Eze should have started. Eze 100% should have started today. Pep Guardiola's subs were crazy, taking Haaland off, going to a back five, having Haaland and Doku up top on transition. Pep Guardiola, who's normally all about control, was letting Arsenal have 60-70% possession today. I've never seen a Pep Guardiola side have 30% possession. So it's it's a sign of respect to Arteta that Pep set up for 30% possession. But I do think Arsenal lacked that quality to break down City because City was so well organised. And I think had Eze been on the pitch longer, maybe they could have won the game. Because we saw with Eze assist, Eze has that moment where he can provide something different. As soon as Eze came on, I thought the tempo was better. I thought Arsenal were controlling the game better. I thought they were creating more. I thought Gyökeres and Marino were very isolated, and I don't think they added much. But one thing I noticed about Arsenal was every time they were getting the ball, they were trying to do the same thing over and over again. They were trying to get the ball, get it out wide, get it in the box. Get the ball, get it out wide, get it in the box. And City could just defend that all day. It was getting predictable. They couldn't get Gyökeres involved. They were getting the ball, and they were trying to do the same thing all day. Eze tries something different. The minute Eze tries something different, you score. It's not just get the ball, go wide, put a cross in, try and get a corner. Why don't you try some central passes? Why don't you try some long passes like Eze has done? Because that is what Eze brought. And I thought Eze was phenomenal today when he came on. He brought a bit of width, but he brought quicker passes. He was finding the space. He should have started in the 10 role for me. And I think that was a big call wrong from Arteta. Because Arteta's done a very good job to get Arsenal where they are now. But if he wants to get Arsenal to the next level, he's going to take risks. And you might be saying, Alice, you're just sitting here giving it to Arteta when Pep's come here and parked the bus at the Emirates, 100%. But the reason I'm giving Arteta a bit more stick is purely for the fact that we know that Pep has gone and played attacking football in big games in the past. We've not seen Arteta go and play Liverpool and City with an attacking approach where I feel like Arteta sets up to draw, and that is fine. I think at the Etihad at Anfield you set up to draw, but I think when you're at home and you've got to catch up to Liverpool, I'd be setting up to win. The way that he celebrated that Martinelli goal, he's happy with the draw. And the draw is a good result. I'm not saying a draw isn't a good result for Arsenal, because at the end of the day, Manchester City are getting praised for the draw, they're getting praised for defending well, which is exactly what Arteta would normally do, and City are getting a lot of praise for that. But what I'm saying is, I just think that a win is more meaningful to Arsenal than City. I think Arsenal need it more because I think we're expecting a bit more from Arsenal this season. And I think being at home, I don't like the play not to lose approach. I think Pep, look, it shows how good Arsenal is. It shows how far Arsenal have come that Pep played that defensive. Because we've got to talk about Pep. He parked the bus. He played a low block and he had every single player behind the ball. And he knows that Arsenal's biggest weakness is breaking down low blocks. So that's exactly what Pep Guardiola did. He had a low block, he had every single player behind the ball. And Arsenal were quite easy and predictable to defend against. City could pretty much mark Gyökeres out the game. Arsenal could not find Gyökeres. And it wasn't until Eze came on and did a few unpredictable things like play that ball into Martinelli that City struggled, because City know that Arsenal have to play the same way because they have to follow the same system, and there's not that much off the ball movement, and it's very, very well disciplined and well coached Arsenal, but it can be predictable. Go out wide, put a ball into the box. City could defend that. Eze comes on, tries something different, and that's how the goal came, because Arsenal kept doing the same thing and it was not working. I think the way that Doku and Haaland were used on the break in transition I liked. I thought Doku was doing really well at sustaining pressure. I think Doku's had a really good start to the season. I think people that criticise Doku haven't watched him this season because I think he's really good. But it was a crazy approach from Pep. I've never seen City that defensive. And that's praise to Arsenal that he, as soon as going 1-0 up, he parked the bus and he played that defensive. And look, I'm not going to lie, as a neutral who probably wanted both teams to draw, it was a boring game. It was a boring game. There was nothing really exciting about the game. I thought Declan Rice had good moments. I thought Kusanov in the first half was really, really good. Obviously, I think he came off injured. Haaland is a monster. But Eze was the kind of bright spark in that game because I felt that game was lacking. I think Diaz had a good game. I think O'Reilly had a good game. I think City defended well. And I think it was a case of Arsenal having a lot of the ball, but they just weren't getting that final action until Eze made that long pass, which created the equaliser for a really good Martinelli finish. And that was unpredictable. And I think if Arsenal can become more unpredictable, they will break down low blocks better and they will score more goals. And look, that's another goal for Martinelli. That will be big for his confidence. Martinelli, look, we saw what he did in 22-23, but he's not been near the level the last 2 seasons. So if he can get these goals and get this confidence, that'll be really good for Martinelli. He'll look to push on. But I did think that Arsenal were predictable playing the crosses in. And as I've said, Liverpool are the real winners here. Arsenal and City drop 2 points. Chelsea lose. Spurs draw. 5 out of 5 wins for Liverpool. 5 points clear. Liverpool are the real winners right now. And look, Liverpool maybe haven't been the most convincing, but the difference between Liverpool and everyone else is they have that quality to win a game when they're not at the best, whereas I think like Arsenal have drawn. And Arsenal, if they want to take to the next level, have got to win those games that they draw. And look, a draw versus City is a good result for Arsenal. When you're 1-0 down, it's a good result for Arsenal. 100% not slating it. But something tells me, had Eze been on in that first half, could Arsenal have won that 2-1? Because City didn't do much for me. I think it's a huge psychological boost for Liverpool, seeing their rivals drop points. They feel more confident knowing they've already got a comfortable lead of 5 points to begin with. But Liverpool will get 3 points in these games against City and Arsenal, whereas Arsenal and City aren't. And that's the big difference. I thought City were very good at the back. I think they played in a 5-4-1. They were very defensive. I thought City were very good at the back. I thought Donnarumma could have done better for the goal, but other than that, I think Donnarumma had a very good game. He brings a presence and he's a good shot stopper. I thought Diaz was commanding the back line well. I thought Doku did really well for City. He was sustaining pressure. He was carrying the ball out of defence well. And one thing that we learned from this game is Pep Guardiola, who's normally an attacking expansive manager, showed that he can build a compact low block. He showed as a manager that he can have a compact low block if he wants to. He's an attacking manager, but if he wants a compact low block, he can drill the City side well, and they can do well from that. And that's what he showed today. In terms of negatives for Arsenal, it was a little bit predictable. There was no service for Gyökeres. Marino struggled to make an influence. I think as good as Timber is defensively, I sometimes feel like Arsenal lacked that overlapping right back that was going to put in a cross, because I think Timber and Madueke got the ball in good areas, but they just couldn't get that ball in that they needed. I think the home advantage Arsenal had was wasted by maybe what I would call a passive approach. But look, Arsenal and City are still elite sides. They're still top sides. They're still within arm's reach of the title race. But they were being too respectful to each other. I feel like every time they play each other, they're a bit too respectful for each other. And sometimes I think if one of those teams could fight for it and want to win and be willing to risk losing to win, we'd have a better game. But it was interesting to see Pep have a pragmatic approach, something we've not seen before. But if you're a Liverpool fan, you look at this and you laugh and go, whoa, 5 points clear already. This is a good sign for Liverpool. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.